Hello and welcome to the What We've Watched podcast. My name is Chris.
Is that it?
And this is episode 97.
Yes.
This week, top 5 movies, 1997.
Yes.
And away we go. So continuing with our 90s adventure, delving into the later half of the 90s here. We got 1997. What do you think? What's your thoughts about this year in movies?
This is an interesting one.
Yeah.
This is another one where there was like a lot of stuff that I remember seeing that I liked. Mm-hmm. But it was sort of tough to just kind of just be like, oh, well, clearly like this, and this are like the best.
Mm.
You know, it was a bit tough because it was like there was a lot of stuff that was just kind of like, well, that was good. Oh, but this is also good. And this is good. And like, what would be the best ones? It's hard to say. There was just a bunch of like good stuff.
For me, that was the opposite. This had a very definite, like, oh, these are the best movies. Like, almost like, oh, this is my top 5 without question.
Huh.
And then here's a, like, also, it was actually, here's my top 4 without question. And then here's like 8 other movies that I really enjoyed from that year.
Okay.
That are like number 5.
All right. Actually,
so what I'm not saying is I have an 8-way tie for number 5.
No, okay. Well, in that sense, then I guess I would agree because it was pretty much the same way for me.
Okay.
Like as much as like it was a bit hard to get everything ordered and stuff, but like I would sort of agree that the top 4 were pretty obvious, and 5 was kind of like it could be any one of like a bunch of things that were that I would consider to be ones I really enjoyed.
I decided to I guess we'll get to that when I do my 5. We'll get to that.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of honorable mentions this week.
I have a couple.
Just because there's so many that I feel like merit.
That's a good one.
I feel like there's so many that merit like a mention, but it's like you say, you can't just do an 8-way tie for 5. So.
Exactly. But none of them were good enough to like creep past to my top 4.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I got you. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Crossover.
Probably not too much because that seems to be the way we've gone.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure 1 and 1 crossover, possibly 2, but I'm pretty sure 1.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm actually really curious.
I would agree
about
with
your
that.
list because I definitely saw a lot of movies for 97. I was like, oh, I know I like that. I know I like that. But the degree you like it, I'm not sure. So
we saw a lot of these together.
Yeah, well, that was the other thing. This was 97.
Not all of them,
was
but
really
a lot
like
of them.
This was one of those. This was probably one of the first years where it was like all the best movies I saw that year. I saw that year.
Yeah,
like I was
lot of them.
finally getting to where I was concurrently watching movies the year they came out heavily.
Quite a few, yeah.
All right. So it's me.
Yep.
All right. So my number 5 is going to highlight a movie here that has. I'm not sure where else this would go. Like what other list this would go on.
Okay.
And the fact that it hasn't come up, I don't think in any previous. As I punch my glass, has it come up on any previous discussion? Was nice because I was like, oh, I can kind of highlight it here, and it's Gattaca.
Oh, okay.
With I almost said Ewan McGregor,
Ethan Hawke.
Ethan Hawke, and directed by Andrew Niccol, who did not a ton of stuff before this, but quite a few things after it. Some good, some bad. Interesting film, interesting premise in the film about genetically designed babies, basically, and turning into genetically designed adults, and more or less the social implications of that, and how that affects people who aren't, and then there's sort of a seedy, like what happens when you're a genetically designed person and you need to be somebody else, or you need you need to do something that is sort of, because people's lives are like not prescribed for them, but basically in a way, what's the word for that? Where you're
like you're allowed to do certain things. And
yeah.
Not allowed to do
the
other
other thing, like you're so
based
planned
on
out
what you're
exactly. And what happens if you want to fight that? What happens if you want to go against that? And I Jude Law. That's it. I kept wanting to say Ewan McGregor, but Jude Law is the other. Those are the two main characters in it. And then I really like this movie. I haven't seen it in a while. But it's that nice bit of, it's almost got a bit of a, it's not a noir movie, but it has a bit of a noir feel to it. And Uma Thurman also. But it's oh crap, I just lost track of what I was going to say. I was saying, but something about the noir has a noir feel to it. But it does that thing where it's in the future, but it's not so high tech that it's unrecognizable, but like still different enough that it is like clearly like, because they don't like to really tell you like the date or anything, and they don't overly, like, futuristic things are just part of people's daily lives, and they don't go out of their way to try and, like, over-explain it in the movie, which I really like. You're sort of just dropped in the environment that is the movie, and you have to just sort of, like, unquestioned, like, kind of, like, go along with what happens in the film. But yeah, no, I quite like it. I think it's fairly highly rated.
Yeah,
I think it
a lot of people seem to like it.
Critically did pretty good, but I don't know how it did in the box office. But yeah, I saw it in the theater and seen it a number of times since then. But it has been a while. But it's kind of got a unique feel to it, and I quite liked it. Yeah. You've seen it, or?
Not really. I've seen maybe like a couple bits and pieces.
Oh, bits and pieces of it?
Nothing.
Not all the way?
Nothing I've ever seen looked like it would be of any interest to me. Nothing about what it's about is of any interest to me.
Oh, okay.
Nothing
Yeah.
I've
Oh, okay.
doesn't look like anything
It's
I
yeah, I mean,
care about.
yeah, sort of futuristic, a bit of identity swapping and stuff like that. But yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So my number 5, Gattaca.
Alright. So yeah, my number 5 was a really difficult choice because it could have been a lot of different possibilities.
Yeah, well, I was in the same boat.
I was having this trouble deciding: did I go with something more kind of entertaining? Do I go with something more like critically successful or well regarded? And I kind of went around and around a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So in the end, I decided to go kind of on the entertaining side.
Oh, yeah?
Because it is basically an action movie, but I decided ultimately to go with this one because it's just so unique, and I thought that deserved sort of highlighting a bit.
No, that's a good.
And it's Face Off.
So very close to being my number 5.
Yeah, so Face Off is
Good.
Yeah, well, what I find interesting about it is Nicolas Cage, John Travolta. John Travolta keeps showing up on these 90s lists. I'm not a big John Travolta fan. I don't know why.
He did his fair share of fairly good films in the 90s.
When he had his career resurgence with Pulp Fiction,
Yeah.
that led to like doing a lot of movies in the 90s and some really decent ones. So that it's totally just the way it worked out. I'm not really
By coincidence, he got dragged into some really good
I
films.
don't happen to really be a John Travolta fan. I mean, I think he's fine when he's doing the times where he's done good work. He's done good work, and the times where he's done not so good work, he's done not so good work. He's pretty much just kind of a normal actor, but it just so happens that he shows up a lot. It's weird, but it's Nicolas Cage and John Travolta, and just very interesting because it's a very unique case of both of the main actors get to play both the hero and the villain.
Yeah.
because of the whole idea of them switching identities.
Yeah.
And so basically, you know,
we both had identity switching movies for our number 5.
yeah, but I mean, this is pretty extreme.
Oh well, I
It's
mean,
like
this is the most.
they literally get turned essentially into each other.
Oh,
With just their minds staying the
Yeah.
same. So basically, they start out with, you know, Nicolas Cage as the villain.
yeah.
And then and John Travolta is the hero, but then they get switched. So they're still the same character, but they now look like each other essentially, and look and sound like each other. And so they both basically get a turn at playing both sides.
Yeah.
Which is a very interesting. I mean, we've seen movies, you know, umpteen movies with like the evil twin plot of
Yeah.
like, you know, somebody looks like you but they're bad and you're good or whatever. But like the idea of actually literally just swapping characters,
A third of the way
like
through the
third
film,
way through the movie,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think I've seen in any other movie. It's pretty unique. One of the better American films from John Woo.
Yeah.
He had very mixed results. I like John Woo's you know, older Hong Kong stuff a lot.
Yeah.
But
for
he
sure.
had very mixed results once he started making American films. And he eventually pretty much like stopped making Hollywood movies because it kind of really was like a real mixed bag.
I
I don't think it always worked out too well for
think
him.
it's probably for the best.
Yeah,
like
I agree.
His style and stuff was better suited towards.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Face Off is just interesting. Some good acting.
Lots of great one-liners.
Yeah, some good one-liners and stuff. I mean, it's
No
just,
more drugs for that man.
it's an action, you know, it's an action movie,
Oh,
so
yeah.
it's what you expect. There's like action, explosions, shootouts. There's the scene where the attack on like the sort of it's like a sort of a penthouse or something.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah,
very
yeah.
fancy,
Yeah, it's like a penthouse,
fancy
yeah,
like
yeah.
full floor apartment. So I guess that's like a penthouse. But there was like a big attack on that, and at the time that held the record for the most like squibs, like explosions going off from
really?
from,
Wow.
from like a gun battle in a movie. Because it's a crazy shootout in there. Very epic, and you know, it's John Woo, so no surprise there. But yeah, just like lots of action, just that crazy kind of 90s, like, you know, pre-CG kind of. I mean, CG existed, but it was still at a time where they were mostly
Lot of practical.
doing stunts and explosions and stuff like that, more so than CG. And
It looks good too. Like I saw it just a couple years, actually about a year ago.
Yeah.
And yeah, it
there's a few questionable kind of bits and pieces. Like it's
some of the
there's some flaws.
there's
like,
a few stunts that are
No. I mean, like, just in terms of just ideas that they had.
I
There's
see.
a few things that are
I
kind
was
of.
going to say like the special effects really hold up.
There's
because
a few things that are maybe like weird vestiges of like the original concept on the original screenplay was it was going to be a lot more sci-fi.
Yeah.
It was going to be kind of futuristic and stuff. And there's some kind of weird vestiges of that. Like there's this weird like secret, or not really secret, but it's like a high-tech prison where they have like the prisoners all like walking around in these like magnetic
boots
things, and they can just kind of shut off the floor so they can't move and things like that.
Piece of trivia for you.
And it's a bit silly.
It's piece of trivia.
Yeah.
Those boots, those magnetic boots, they're the same boots the Goombas wear in the Super Mario TV. They're exactly the same prop. They
that
just
doesn't surprise
they
me.
just reused the prop. Yeah.
Like stuff like that was a bit silly. But possibly sort of it would have probably worked better had they retained the futuristic thing.
Yeah.
It would have been more like okay, sure.
Because as it turned out, those magnetic boots, they didn't stop anything. The whole prison went riot anyway. Like that turned out to be.
It's just like the way the juxtaposition there didn't really work too well. And there's just a few things here and there that are just kind of questionable, like a bit cheesy. But you know, I guess that's the case with
it's
many
a John Travolta,
many of these kind of
Nicolas
movies.
Cage action movie. you
Yeah,
know?
I guess that's not an uncommon thing.
Yeah.
But I just thought that it deserves merit.
Oh yeah.
Merit for the fact of like how unique it is, how they really tried to do something different. And it is really highly rated.
Super highly rated. Yeah,
Super
it's like
high-
in the 90s.
Yeah, it's really, really highly rated because it's just, you know, it's really well made and stuff.
it does what it's supposed to
and
do
it has
very well.
Yeah, it has a good like plot. It has really good acting. I mean, sometimes very hammy and over the top, but but deliberately so. Like, like they chose their moments of when to really go over the top very purposefully. Yeah. It's just it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, no, it's. I
mean,
really
it's
good
ridiculous.
Film.
But,
it's absolutely.
but in an entertaining way, and it's a well-made action film that has a very unique premise that is executed very well.
The funny thing about one of the funny things, every time I watch this film, the part before they switch faces is the part I never remember. Yeah. Like the first third of the film.
Yeah.
Every time I watch it, I'm like
when they capture him.
They capture him and all that.
Like all the stuff with the plane and
everything. I never remember any of that stuff until I watch the film. The last half of the movie, like after they've switched bodies and everything, and the chase is on and everything, like that I remember. For some reason, I never remember the beginning of this film. So every time I watch it, I'm like, I didn't remember this. I didn't remember that. You know, like the plane thing. I saw the movie a year ago. Did not remember it till just now. You know, like for some. But as soon as they they do the surgery and then they switch the faces, and then it's like, and then it. I think it's maybe because to some degree, I feel like those actors, like they fit better the roles after the face switching than before, maybe. I guess with Nicolas Cage,
I thought they did a great job because I thought they both gave their all.
No! Like they did a great job. Yeah. Just in my mind, I think of John Travolta more as a bad guy. Maybe I've seen him as a bad guy.
Well, I mean, I guess like running time wise, he probably is for longer.
I guess. I mean, it's probably.
But Nicolas Cage is the one who introduces the character.
So
that's the impression. That's your first impression, right?
And he is loopy.
Yeah. Which when they do the switch, the fact that you get to see like the crazy Nicolas Cage that you expect, and then you get to see like, you know, the more kind of straightforward, like playing it straight kind of Nicolas Cage that you don't see as often. Yeah. You know, we talked about that a bit last week with like The Rock. You know, he played like kind of this more the straight man hero in that. And, you know, he had a couple eccentric moments, but it wasn't like the sort of what you expect of like the crazy Nicolas Cage. So the fact that he gets to do both in one movie, and then that, you know, both actors get to do it, like I just feel like that's so unique. It's very well executed. Yeah. Face Off is what I ended up going with. But I mean, we're going to do some honorable mentions at the end. Many of those honorable mentions probably could have been...
Face Off was my number one on my honorable mentions. So,
many of the honorable mentions that I picked probably could have been. And honestly, deciding to go with Face Off was pretty much like a almost last-minute choice because...
good pick too.
What I was going to do as my 5,
I
thought might be a little... I'll explain at the end when we do honorables. But I thought what I was going to go with my 5, I thought might... It was a little too similar to something else that was definitely on my list, and I didn't really want like two films with kind of very similar concepts. Gotcha. So I decided to move them around a little bit. But I went with Face Off for 5.
Excellent. All right. So my number 4. My number 4 is not as highly rated as Face Off, but fairly well liked. I almost said from 1997.
You can do that. It's fine. I don't
care. Grosse Pointe Blank.
Okay, it's my 4 as well.
Oh, excellent.
So
excellent. I had a few weeks ago. It came up and we were talking about it, and I had a strong and your enthusiasm at the time. I was like, I have a strong suspicion this is on this list, but I didn't know like where it would be. So excellent.
It's my 4 as well, so we can pile together.
Yeah. This was one of the ones I was sure we were going to cross over. So by the time Grosse Pointe Blank came out, I was already like John Cusack. I'd seen him in all those like early films that he had done.
Yeah.
And so I was like, and
like all the 80s.
Yeah, all that 80s stuff. Yeah. And then it was like, and then you know this and had a real like that's a kind of a unique story concept there.
Well, Grosse Pointe Blank is
government assassin returning.
One of those kind of
for a high school reunion, but also under the guise of a job.
Well, it's not government assassin. Remember, he specifically says because that's what he says when people ask him what happened after high school. He says, "I freaked out, joined the army.
That's right.
Went into business for myself. I'm a professional killer." Because that's the running joke is that he's always honest about what he does, and no one ever believes him.
Because he was in the military that he found out that like they did like the testing on him
Yeah,
and
yeah.
found out that he had like a mental
The ability
disposition
to kill. Yeah.
yeah.
So basically, it's action comedy.
Little romance.
There's a bit of romantic comedy aspect.
Minnie
because,
Driver.
Yeah, Minnie Driver. So basically, John Cusack's character is Martin Blank, and he's a professional killer who is kind of feeling a little bit of discontent with his life and how things are going.
Malaise.
Yeah, exactly. A malaise. Nothing too specific, but he just kind of feels like, man, he's kind of tired of things being the way they are, and he's really good at what he does, but it's just kind of meaningless at this point. And his sort of secretary assistant, kind of, who's played by Cusack's sister Joan Cusack, is brilliant in this.
Well, because they went through the night. Actually, probably it still happens, but through quite a period there, like everything he was in, she was in as like a bit part for, or not everything, but they were in a lot of movies together.
Yeah, but she's amazing in this.
Yeah, no, she's super good at this. Yeah.
So basically, she's pushing for this idea of because he gets the invitation to his 10-year high school reunion, and she's pushing for this as kind of a thing to kind of break him out of his malaise and do something different and kind of connect to himself as a human being and all this kind of stuff. And he doesn't want to do it, but he eventually agrees to do it because I think he gets like a job.
Yes,
that's
it. That's why
near
he's near there.
Because it's Grosse Pointe, right, Michigan, which is like close near Detroit, and basically, he gets like a job that's nearby. So he's like, oh, okay, I'll go. And he goes, and Minnie Driver plays like a girl that he knew back then.
That's okay. The whole kickoff, why he decides to actually go is because he's like in the funk.
Yeah.
And then he has the failed assassination attempt.
Right.
And that is what drives him. Like he's like, well, I might as well go.
Dan Aykroyd. Dan Aykroyd plays like his rival.
Dan Aykroyd plays
sort of
mental
it's like
case.
it's like his sort of old friend / rival.
Yeah.
So like they know each other really well, but they kind of like hate each other now. And
he's crazy.
Yeah.
Little did we know,
so
this was actually a glimpse into the future of Dan Aykroyd.
So Dan Aykroyd is basically working for like a competitor, and he basically causes
that's
why
the
job to fail because he gets in the way and so and Minnie Driver plays like a girl he knew in high school and stuff.
It was the girl he was going to go to prom with. Yeah, that he stood her up,
but he didn't show up because he freaked out.
Bailed on his prom.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he's going to meet her for the first, not having seen her in the 10 years since, and obviously everything that's happened in his life. Yeah. So there's a bit of a romantic comedy aspect as they get to know each other again.
And Cusack, of course, does a good job of playing that slightly neurotic. Oh yeah, like a little.
Yeah. But it's
like
it's
nice
very
enough guy, but there's something not right.
But there's like a coolness too because he's very like he's obviously because he's
calm.
Like, and he obviously his work and stuff, so he's just able to like
compartmentalize.
But there's all these kind of things like if he goes to like a restaurant or something, he never sits with his back to the the door and stuff, right? Like he always needs to see like the entrances and exits because he has to keep things all planned and stuff in case he has to deal with anything and all this kind of stuff. There's just a lot of humor.
That very typical. I think it's actually the same year where you go to the reunion and he's touching base with all like the people he used to go and how everybody's lives went. And just like certain people,
and he's got like his
as expected. And other people like, oh well, surprise.
Yeah, and then there's like the guy that he was friends with, that he kind of gets back in with, and talks to and stuff. And like whenever people ask like oh what like no one knows like what happened to you after school and like where have you been, and he always like says the truth, but of course no one
believes
people
him.
Think he's just joking around because it's so messed up. And then there are like some government guys there's like some NSA guys, I think,
a bunch,
that are
and they're just
stuff.
Like all over the place.
It's once again what's his name? He's known from like The Simpsons and stuff. He's been in so many movies. We talked about him.
No, Hank Azaria?
Hank
Yeah,
Azaria.
Hank
yeah.
Azaria,
One of
yeah,
them,
yeah, yeah.
Hank Azaria plays one of them, and one of the NSA agents.
Jeremy
and stuff.
Piven plays the friend, his friend.
Right.
from-
Yes. Jeremy Piven.
yeah.
Yes, he's been in a lot
And then,
of stuff.
and then like their old, the high school teacher remembers is Alan Arkin.
Right.
It
Okay.
plays like
yeah.
that. It's like,
It's been
like
a while
that's
since I've
like
seen
that,
it. I
yeah.
gotta watch it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's really good. I really enjoyed it then. It's one of those kind of movies where it just feels like someone made a movie for me. Like
Yeah,
it just
it's super good.
It has all those elements that I enjoy about movies, where it's kind of got like the actiony, violent kind of stuff, but it's all like sort
there's
of,
a lightheartedness to it in
comedic.
some ways.
Yeah, it's like comedy. It's got like the romantic comedy aspects. It's got the just great soundtrack because it's all the kind of like 80s like music, but it's like different sort of 80s music. Like it's kind of a little bit alternative 80s.
Yeah, well, it's because it's like late 80s, right? Because it's like I guess 87
It would be like
80s. Because like the movie is
87,
supposed to like take
86.
place like when it in the year it like came out.
Yeah. I think it's like just
Give or
before or
take,
something
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I think it's like 86 to 96 or type of thing or
Yeah.
something. But yeah, and so it has like a lot of that kind of on the soundtrack and stuff, and it's fun. And yeah, it's just cool. Like Joan Cusack stuff is pretty much all like over the phone, so you just see like her in the office, and like he'll call her and be like, and of course it's that like 90s like cell phone thing, which is sort of funny because you just don't see it that much.
No.
I mean you do, obviously. I mean it's not like they were that rare or anything by 97. It's just, but it's not the way that it is now because it's pre smartphone.
Well, they were not as ubiquitous as smartphones.
and certainly it's pre-smartphone, so it's just about when you're on the phone, you're on the phone. It's not like you're not using it as a little computer or anything. So just those kind of like over the phone scenes, which are something. It's a bit of a lost art almost.
The lots of that he does it very well. The like the panicked whispering that he does, the very intense panic whispering that he's really good at.
No, it's great. It's really good.
Yeah, this is the name alone, the play on words.
Oh
of the name
yeah,
alone
because
is
he's Martin Blank. His name,
and going to Grosse Pointe, and you get Grosse
Point Blank.
It's
But
now this was
it's good. It distinguishes it.
It was definitely like I was like, this is probably good, and then seeing it was like, wow, that was like did not think it was. I figured much more it was going to be a more like a good movie than a great movie upon seeing it. And yeah, I've seen it a number of times. It's a good one to like. Because of how, like you said, like how it's got a real good vibe to it and everything. It's a real easy movie to go back and just watch. And yeah, you should give it another go.
Oh, I will. I mean, I have it on DVD.
Yeah,
it's
well,
not like
yeah.
I can't just watch it anytime. I just haven't in a while because I watched it so many times, back in the day.
Dan Aykroyd's character.
Yeah.
The shootout in the hotel.
Yeah, and there's a scene where they have like where they meet like in a cafe.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
they're, like across from each other.
The guns under the table.
They're just constantly like the cat and mouse of
Yeah.
oh man, it's great. It's so over the top, but in the best possible way. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
I love
The other, because not a movie I liked, but Romeo and Michelle's High School Union also came out in '97.
Yeah, I never really saw
saw
that because I don't generally watch kind of straight up comedies that much.
Yeah, well, it was because those were characters from I think Saturday Night Live, and it was all right. I know not a number of people that really like it, but it's just like, 2 high school reunion movies in 1 year. Oh, well, that's
It's not that odd of a thing. I'm sure there's probably thousands of high school reunions every year.
No, but movies.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like, it's a fairly normal conversation.
Oh yeah. I can't. But all right. So that was my 4 and your 4.
Yes.
So I guess that's back to me.
Your 3.
Oh, my 3. All right. My 3 is a movie that's been on a previous list. I don't
know why you keep doing that. You're wasting spots.
Well, because nothing. My top 3 are to me so by far and away the best movies that came out
All right.
that year.
All right.
To not put it on this list would just be like, well,
don't have anything
this
to
is
say, though.
this is not my top 5 of 1997. It's
Yeah.
some okay movies from 1997. So we don't have to say a lot about it, although it's been a while since we talked about it. And it was on my top 5 underrated.
Yeah.
And is the game.
Yeah. I knew it would be. As soon as you said it's been used.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It was obvious.
Michael Douglas,
Yeah.
Sean Penn. We talked about it on the top 5
Yep.
underrated.
It's Fincher's next one after
Yeah.
after 7.
After 7, yeah. Bit of a so it's a little easier to digest movie than 7.
Oh, yeah.
Like 7 is much more like wow.
Oh yeah. Well, it's a lot darker and
Yeah.
more like disturbing and
Yeah.
stuff.
The game is a little.
game is more-
It's a little more thinky, a little less. Yeah, a little less disturbing. For
and
sure.
more like entertainment.
Yeah, for sure.
Like yeah.
No. Yeah, definitely
It's
steers
kind of,
much more towards the sort of like a normal
Yeah.
movie.
It's a bit. It's got a bit of that sort of like it has the twist, but it's not like a disturbing
No,
dark
no.
twist.
Yeah,
It's just a haha twist.
It has a happy ending, and you'll sleep at night at the end of the game.
Yeah, which is interesting.
Versus, you'll never sleep again properly after watching 7.
Well, at least
At least maybe not. No.
yeah. No, I know.
Seven's fine.
I know.
So,
What,
yeah,
no, I know.
It's not as disturbing as
I know
think
what you
it's
mean,
in.
though. I know what you mean. But yeah,
I mean, the entire point of 7 was,
Yeah.
to be a little,
Yeah, of course.
on the edge of that sort of stuff.
Of course. But
versus-
that's the
versus-
cool thing about the game is that Fincher applied his skills to a different type of thing. You know?
His ability to do like that psychological stuff quite well.
Yeah. It's good.
I think one of the things that I like most about it is that they, and I brought this up again at the time, but is you as the audience don't get any extra information.
Yeah.
You are never able to suss. They give you nothing to be able to suss out any more than Michael Douglas is like the main character has.
Yeah,
And there's
well,
no cutaways where you get to find out something
Because
that
they
will
want
help.
to take you on that ride.
Exactly. Yeah.
Basically the same sort of ride that the character is
Yeah.
being taken on,
Yeah.
more or less, right? Yeah, Michael Douglas is great. I really like Michael Douglas.
Yeah.
Sean Penn, I don't like Sean Penn.
Yeah,
but
I'm not a huge Sean
Once
Penn
in a while, he does
Yeah.
work that I.
And again, he's
actually-
not in this a ton, so it's fine.
But it's still a very important role.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
yeah,
one of the most important parts. And I'm not a Sean Penn fan at all, but he's one of those people that just once in a while he does something that I'm like, okay, yeah, that was good. He can bring it in certain cases.
Yeah. And I guess Deborah Kara Unger is the female lead in this, and she does a great job
Yeah,
too.
well, yeah, she's very good.
Speaking of like doing an excellent job of like playing like with the psychological game of the movie, she every time you think you get her character sorted out, they throw you another twist, and you're like
Yeah,
almost in a way she's a good distraction.
she comes off really, like I don't mean just like in the movie, but I just mean like as an actress, like her style. She always comes off very kind of deep and like sort of sophisticated.
Yeah.
And so she can kind of pull things off that a lot of people couldn't because you would just kind of see through it, I guess.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
I don't really know how to
Yeah.
say it otherwise, but this is something like this or Crash. You know, Cronenberg's Crash, like you see something like that, and it's like not a lot of people could have handled the demands of what needed to be done with those, and so I think she's interesting in that note. So yeah,
But so my number 3, the game.
all right.
Not the rapper, the movie.
I shouldn't have been surprised, but it always just disappoints me because I'm like, we've already done it. But I understand why.
Yeah.
I understand why. It's fine. Yeah, it's really good. All right, my three is, well, being three, it kind of falls sort of right in the middle, because finally, after several years of waiting, not years in the podcast time, it's been a number of weeks.
Yeah.
But in terms of we're doing
a
year per week.
Yeah.
After several years of waiting, finally the next film by one of my favorite directors. But falling kind of in the middle of the list here is a good indication of, like, it's not one of the best movies by this director, but still quite good. And it's Lost Highway,
Yeah.
the David Lynch film. It's Lost Highway, I think.
First David Finch film I ever saw.
That's weird. I'm sorry. That's not a good one to start with, by the way.
Yeah, I was like, well, that was good, but,
Yeah. So Lost Highway, I feel like, is definitely not one of his best, but it is probably one of the most, like, purely artistic. Like, it's visually very impressive, and its presentation is very kind of like, if you just take it as like a work of art, kind of like washing over you, it's probably one of the most impressive for that, because it really leans more towards that direction. The story is extremely hard to understand. The characters are kind of very abstract, and kind of like, it's hard to really, you can't really relate to the characters really at all.
I feel the characters in... And this is not the only movie where he does characters like this.
I mean, obviously, Lynch's characters are always a little off, but I mean, at least usually there's some sort of there's something that you can relate to.
And this isn't, seeing quite a few of his movies, after saying this. In Lost Highway, the characters are almost more, in a conventional writing sense, they're almost more concepts or plot devices than your traditional character.
Yeah. I mean, they're basically just there to be, they're just there to be moving parts.
Yes. Exactly.
For the sort of the dream.
You're not supposed to draw any particular attachment to any single one of them, I don't think.
I don't feel like it, but
no,
I mean, you never know, I suppose.
Yeah, maybe I'm missing.
But Lynch's work is always very kind of dreamlike, and kind of based upon the way that it's always sort of like very inspired by kind of dream logic and dream sort of imagery and dream kind of inspiration, and that's probably never more the case than with Lost Highway in many ways, because a lot of times there's it makes no sense, really. It's basically what I'm trying to say. It makes a strange kind of sense if you watch it enough times not in a row, not literally in a row, like not back to back, but if you watch it enough times in a relatively short period of time, and you really analyze and think about it, and kind of think about, like, what could this mean, it does start to become a little more clear.
You can make a story out of it.
Yeah, it does start to become a little more clear as to, like, what it's trying to say, at least. But it's still very hard to penetrate.
Yeah.
Probably the most so of any of his stuff. I mean, a lot of times people think, like, oh, Lynch's work is all weird and dreamy and stuff.
Not always.
But if you watch, like, a lot of his stuff is kind of like, yeah, it's weird in the sense of, like, it's eccentric, but not, like Blue Velvet. That movie is not hard to follow at all.
No.
Like, it has a very straightforward story.
Exactly. Yeah.
The characters are very straightforward. It's just weird because it's, like, it's eccentric.
Yeah.
But, like, it's not confusing or anything. And that's the case with a lot of his stuff. But this is definitely one where he kind of went way into that dream. I guess a bit of a throwback to Eraserhead in that sense.
Yeah, okay, sure.
Which was his first film, and that's full on in that kind of like dreamlike state of just like things are just seemingly rather random, and it's more just about concepts and just presenting feelings and ideas and images without necessarily being able to really put it all together into a coherent whole.
I mean, seeing Lost Highway made me go and watch
Yeah.
Blue Velvet.
Well, it's
and
nothing if
Wild at Heart.
Well, it's
and,
certainly
you know,
interesting. Like that's the thing
No,
is,
you know.
you can see, and that's the thing is, there's always been very mixed reactions to it. Like as far as reviews,
I remember at the time it was kind of like
Yeah.
there was a lot of like
it's
what
either
is this crap?
Yeah,
You
is
know?
it terrible or is it really
Yeah.
good? Because it's like hard to really say. But just the fact that it's obviously it looks really good. Like it probably visually is probably his strongest film. In terms of just having a very strong visual aesthetic and being very just kind of like visually arresting.
Yeah.
And it just has some really interesting kind of images and stuff like that. It's just a matter of not really. It's like, what the hell does it mean?
But I mean, look, to be fair, like it's not like Lynch, like any of that like feedback or anything. Like after this, he went and made Mulholland Drive, and nobody knows what that's about either. Like that movie's story is.
But Mulholland Drive, yeah, I don't want to get too much into that.
It's a bit more
right
of
now,
it's a little more coherent. The characters are more coherent, but
it's more coherent in terms of what its intention is and what it's trying to say.
yeah.
Whereas like Lost Highway, I feel like it's kind of like what is like, okay, let's put it this way. I could tell you what
The plot of Mulholland Drive.
I can tell you what Mulholland Drive is about.
Yeah.
I might not be able to explain what every image or every scene means, but I can tell you what it's about. I can't tell you what Lost Highway is about.
Bill Pullman's
I
in
can
it?
describe
I can tell you that.
I can describe things that happen,
in it. Yeah.
but I can't tell you what it's about.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
I mean, is this a movie with no plot? Is this a movie with?
Well, it has a plot because things happen and people do things. So,
But okay, is this a?
but it's a very obscure.
But
It's a very obscure
is
plot.
it plot or story? Is this maybe this is a movie with no story? Maybe this has characters that
Well,
exist only to drive a plot.
I'm not sure
but
what
has
the
no story.
what the technical difference is, but
I think.
I mean, if there's, I mean, people do things and things happen, so
Yeah.
clearly it's a plot, and I assume that would also make it a story.
Yeah. Okay. I guess. Yeah. I sort of. I think the plot is more the basic element of the movie. Like the plot is like when we're talking about like Face Off. Like the plot of Face Off
That's
is
a premise.
that's actually the
there's
word I was looking
difference.
for. Yeah. Is Lost Highway a movie with no premise? It's a plot with no.
It's hard to say because
if anybody could do that, Lynch.
yeah, because I mean, to describe what the premise is,
Well,
what is it?
Well, you just end up describing the plot.
yeah, there's no like short way to really. Yeah, it's true.
I mean,
But it has some really good acting.
Yeah.
Bill Pullman is amazing. Patricia Arquette is
that's
amazing.
right. I was gonna say it's Patricia Arquette, isn't it? Yeah.
And it's got a lot of the Lynch regulars showing up here and there. It's
That color.
yeah, the music is really good.
That's actually one of the things I do remember about it, and I guess because it is being a very visually intense movie
Yeah.
with not necessarily a lot of dialogue, you also get a lot of music.
Yeah.
and the music is very.
There's-
I had the soundtrack to this
Yeah, me
for a
too.
movie that I wasn't.
Me too.
I wasn't sure what happened in it. I really like the soundtrack.
It's really good. It's really good soundtrack. So I felt like it definitely had to rank well upon my list. But I decided to sort of put it somewhere in the middle because, it's definitely not the best Lynch film, but it's definitely very interesting, and it deserves some recognition. And it's very well made. It's very impressive visually. It's very impressive technically. But I'm not really sure what's.
Yeah,
I'm not really sure what the point of it is.
Yeah.
Other than just to put out
listeners,
images.
if somebody out there listening knows what this movie's about, write in. Tell us on our Facebook page.
I guarantee you 100%.
Give us your theories.
No, I guarantee you 100% no one knows what this movie is about, including David Lynch. Because, it's presented in such a way that...
It's open for interpretation.
Exactly. Anything that people would think of, this is what it's about, that's just their opinion. That's just the impression that they got. But there's nothing to really say.
That is an impressive feat in filmmaking on its own.
Yeah.
To make a movie that is, like you say, has a plot, maybe no premise, but it's not aimless. Like, it doesn't just, like, I've seen a
No.
lot of, like, kind of crappy movies
Oh, it's-
that are just, like, there's
No,
a
I mean,
story
it's
there,
not
but it's just kind of wandering
Oh yeah,
garbage.
no, it's not
like,
slow.
This
It doesn't wander. It's very
holds your
focused. It's
attention.
very. It has a quite a quick pace, especially for a Lynch film.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. You're just you're not sure of the passage of time.
Yeah.
You're not sure if the story
Yeah.
is told in
I
order.
mean, the main
You're
character-
not sure if parts of this movie are a dream or
Yeah.
reality, some kind of weird mix of the two.
I mean, halfway through, the main character literally turns into a different person.
Yes,
And there's
yeah.
no explanation as to whether that's
And,
something
I mean, in a way, that is
that actually happened, or whether it's something psychological,
Yeah,
or whether
exactly,
it's,
yeah.
it's we're seeing some sort of like alternate reality or nothing. We
No.
have no idea. The entire film is just like a dream with no explanation, and it's just here you go.
Yeah.
And this was 5 years, a 5-year wait,
Yeah.
because his previous film was Twin Peaks Fire Walk, the
That's right. Yeah,
92,
yeah.
which we talked about then in our 92 list. Pretty much every, because Wild at Heart was 90,
Yeah.
so basically every Lynch film of the 90s so far have been on
We've
the
had-
top
yeah,
5, because
yeah,
I'm a huge Lynch fan,
Yeah.
so they're all going to be somewhere on there. It just varies as to where, but yeah. So
Lynch.
yeah, so Lost Highway was
Excellent.
3.
Yeah, no, that's good. Good pick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's your 2.
My number 2. My number 2 is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Okay. But it's 2, so, which is interesting,
Yeah.
because that means either your 1 is another favorite movie of all time, or you decided for some reason this one needed to be 2.
This is one that also has been on a previous list. So we don't need
Shirt. I have no idea what that would be then.
we don't need to talk about it too much.
It's gotta be something that I've forgotten about. Oh, no, you didn't. Really?
I have such sights to show you.
Really?
Event Horizon.
Oh my god.
And again,
I don't understand
I
that
had to
at
put it
all.
on. I just love it so much. I
It's
mean,
so flawed, though.
oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But it was very high on my top 5
Okay.
horror films.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, but that's such a specific list. Like
but-
that, I'm fine with. Like,
Just
it's a great horror film,
Go,
but
looking at the movies from 97,
Yeah.
I mean, I own this. I've seen it many times. It is a movie I will go back to. When I want that scary fix.
all right.
You know? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I like it.
Yeah.
But it's just
No, I realize.
frustratingly flawed, because there's things about it that I'm just like, oh my.
Oh yeah,
really?
there's a
Like,
bunch
you
of
have
stuff
to
in there
do
that is
like,
just
if you
like.
just hadn't done that.
Oh yeah.
You would have
yeah.
been like a couple more percentages
Yeah, yeah.
higher.
There's definitely like, and it is also like it's not a well received movie. It's not very.
I don't
well
care about
rated. but
People hate Paul W. S. Anderson movies. and
That's true, and
That's
they
just
are-
the way it is.
Yeah, that
and
makes
and
sense. Yeah.
I've always thought that he's better
Yeah.
than what people give
Yeah.
credit for. But
and he still makes movies.
and,
And
I mean,
none of that stopped him from making movies.
I love,
but-
I love Hudson Hawk.
Oh, Hudson Hawk, yeah,
I have
well,
nothing
yeah.
against films being being
Underrated,
very low rated, because sometimes people just don't get them. But this movie is just so
And-
frustrating to me
and I-
because it's so close to being
so
great.
close, yeah.
And there's just all
Yeah.
these like problems.
just
with
little things, and it's
So
and
it's forgivable for you. That's fine, but
yeah.
it's not for me.
and
Unfortunately.
for me, it's just
I do really like it.
I like the premise.
Yeah,
I like the plot.
yeah.
Sam Neill is awesome.
Yeah.
All the acting, I think, actually is good in this. For considering with horror sci-fi movies, you often don't get.
Yeah.
You often don't get great acting.
Yeah.
You often don't get great budget.
Sam
and this
Neill,
movie actually had a lot.
Sam Neill
Lawrence
is-
Fishburne's real good in this as like
Yeah.
the counter.
Sam Neill's so good. Like, when you
yeah.
think like you can add everything. Like, think to the '90s when we had like there's this
Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
In the Mouth of
The
Madness. You
Yeah.
know, Sam Neill was just oh my god, so good.
I don't remember. Was Mother Madness on my 94 list? I don't think so. It was on my honorable mention.
I think you might have mentioned it. But,
yeah.
But you did, yeah. We
yeah.
we already had it on our.
On our, again, we both had it on our.
Well, no, I didn't.
Oh,
I did the thing where I didn't use it because I knew you would
I
have
would
it.
have it, yeah.
Because I already on our horror list, I doubled up on every
that's
single
right.
selection.
Right.
I really did a top 10.
Yeah.
And so for my
You knew that was a safe. That was a safe.
so
yeah.
for my for my Carpenter
Yeah.
picks, I had to go with The Thing and Halloween. Because
Right, that's
those
right.
were the two
That's
that are
right.
like kind of my personal favorites, and also that I think are the most kind of significant historically. So I already had two Carpenter films. I couldn't really go for a third one, and
one,
I knew
yeah.
that you would have it
Yeah.
in the Mouth Madness because I know you really like it.
Yeah.
So I allowed that to go by. So we had it.
Even thinking
we did have it.
just thinking, to some degree, it doesn't have quite his...
Because we could...
It doesn't have quite his edge. Event Horizon almost feels a bit like a Carpenter film. Like, it definitely has that
Yeah. Well...
Paul Anderson,
Yeah.
tweak to it. But, if Event Horizon had been made by John Carpenter, well, it
Yeah.
would have had half the budget and probably none of those actors. But...
Well,
I guess I would have.
he had Sam Neill in the Mouth of Madness,
that's true,
so
that's true,
obviously, you know.
Yeah. I was 94, so that was like only a couple years earlier.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean-
but yeah, no, I'm well aware there's a
No, he
number
was
of
too
things in
busy.
this movie that
He was too
bugged
busy.
me too.
He was too busy around this time making Escape from L.A.
Yeah, liked it at the time. Side note on Escape from LA here. I think the thing was
It has some good decent moments.
when I saw Escape from LA, I had only seen Escape from New York once before.
Yeah.
And it was a very bad VHS
We're a lot
copy.
younger too.
And I didn't really appreciate it. It was this like low budget, dark, kind of crappy movie. And I saw Escape from LA as it's
It's
the
very
version of
90s.
Escape from New York that I wanted but didn't get.
It's very 90s.
And that's
It has a lot of really bad 90s CG, and it has like
It is.
it's really cheesy, and it's bad.
It immediately did not age well.
Oh,
versus like going back and actually watching like a good copy of
Yeah.
Escape from New York that isn't like way
Oh,
too
it's
dark
awesome.
to see properly.
It's so
like,
good.
oh no, this is really
It's
well
really
done.
good. Yeah,
It
yeah.
has. I mean,
But-
it is still 70s as all hell, but
early 80s.
early
but-
80s.
Yeah, fair enough.
As all hell, like in the style like those films were.
Yeah.
But it wears it better.
Yeah.
Than
Well, it's
how,
not overly ambitious,
Well,
for one thing.
Yeah.
Which Escape from LA was extremely ambitious and could not pull it off, and that's pretty much the
Yeah.
the running thing for Carpenter films in the '90s.
Yeah.
Is that he never had any money, but he just kept doing
He
these
made movies like he
really
did.
ambitious things that did not work.
Yeah.
That being said, Escape from LA had its moments.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know,
for sure.
when they were sort of just having fun with it, and they were getting into a bit of that, like, Big Trouble in Little China kind of vibe.
Yeah.
You know, like, Kurt Russell and John Carpenter is a great combo. Like, they've made a bunch
Also-
of movies together.
top-notch ending. I really like the ending of Escape from LA.
I don't really remember the ending too
it's
well.
where he does he's got the device.
Yeah.
And it's like EMPs the world. And
Yeah,
it's like,
right.
welcome
yeah,
to the
yeah.
new race or whatever.
Reset everything.
Yeah, he just resets everything because it was the only way to like fix like this never-ending problem that was happening.
Yeah.
But also, Pliskin being a bit of a
Yeah. Well, it's kind of a bit of an anarchist.
that's the word I was looking for. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, the character's great. So it had its moments, but yeah, I don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah. Well, we got sidetracked. But yeah,
That has nothing to do with this list or
yeah,
anything that we're doing. But yeah,
Event
Horizon.
So
I like Event Horizon, but I just I can't forgive like some of those really terrible flaws.
Yeah, there's some.
But that being said,
This movie goofed in a few places.
but I
for
own
sure.
it. On DVD. It's good. Like you say, some great performances, some great ideas.
Yeah.
It's all the more frustrating for the fact that because there's so many good things about it, it's disappointing that they really dropped the ball in certain areas.
Absolutely see how somebody. Like how most people could.
Yeah.
Could,
like if
could
it
do
was
that
just
way.
kind of average, I'd be more forgiving.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I'm less forgiving because of the
the
fact
high highs are so
that
like
it's clearly
yeah.
they're trying to do something
the
really
flaws
good.
really stand out.
Yeah, exactly. All right, cool.
So quick talk there. Event Horizon.
All right.
So your number 2.
All right. Well, my
dos.
number 2, I'm going to assume is going to be the same as your number 1.
Okay.
So we're going to team
Okay.
up on that, I assume.
Yes.
Maybe? I don't know.
So you just want to do your number 1, or should I just do my number 1?
No. I'm saying my 2.
Oh, well, your 2 will
I'm
be my
pretty
1.
sure is your
Okay.
1.
Okay.
but I mean, I'm not positive, but I'm guessing as it hasn't been
Yeah, I
mentioned
have
yet.
not mentioned it yet, so I guarantee it'll probably be done.
Fifth Element?
Yeah, Lilo Multipass. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Probably my favorite movie of all time.
Again...
more or less, like, as much as you can have a favorite movie...
Right.
That would...
Well, I do.
Yeah. That would be...
Yeah, so again, I decided to go with 2 on this one. Because there's another movie.
Ooh, see?
And...
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, you won't be surprised at all when we get to it.
When I hear it, I'll be like,
but
oh, okay.
you're just not thinking of it.
Okay.
But I mean, I do really love Fifth Element, but I find that certain things about it haven't aged well, and I find that more so in the sense of not so much not aged well in a general way, but there are things about it that have not aged well for me. Like things that I didn't really
like you found good
mind
you
about
enjoyed
it
at the
then,
time,
and now I'm kind of like, oh, it's a bit of a groaner.
I see. For me, I have the same sort of feeling, but I find the stuff that hasn't aged well. I have like an endearingness to those things.
Yeah.
Like I'm like clearly like, oh, like this bit or that bit is not.
Yeah.
But it's just like all that does is fuel nostalgia for the time.
I'm applying a very high standard here,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I feel like applying a very high standard is acceptable for something much like what we just talked about with Event Horizon. Applying a high standard is acceptable when the movie itself is presenting itself at such a high level.
Yeah.
Then you kind of correspondingly want to, it's not trying to be It's not just some like crappy B movie that you have a laugh at, right?
No, this was
so because of that, I do hold it to kind of a higher standard in a way, which means that those things that don't quite hit the mark, I'm being more critical than I probably would be of a lesser movie.
Fair enough. Yeah.
But at the same time,
this is
there's
like Luc Besson's
so
masterpiece.
Yeah,
you know,
it's kind of different than anything else he's really
for
done.
For sure.
I'm looking forward to seeing what Valerian is like because it's kind of his return to epic sci-fi.
Sci-fi,
so.
Yeah, and see,
Well, it's been 20 years.
Was that a one and done? Are we, is
well? I mean, it'll be different, but I mean, in 20 years, like it's changed a lot. I mean, in terms of what you can do with effects and so on and so forth. Obviously, the material is different because this is the Valerian is based on like a comic and stuff like that, and Fifth Element was his own original material, obviously influenced by other things, his influences. But I mean, he basically came up with like the basic story and stuff like that for Fifth Element, like in high school.
Yeah.
So it's got that real kind of like
notepad sketches and stuff like that.
Like teenage fantasy kind of come to life aspect to a lot of the movie. And I don't mean that in an insulting way at all. I mean that in like a cool way. Like it's very,
well, it's sort of like a teenage fantasy, but then like realized as an adult later.
Exactly. Yeah, like obviously
through the eyes. of an adult.
He didn't try to make it. Like he was smart that he waited until like not only was he an adult, but he was a very accomplished filmmaker who had made several other features before this. But yeah, like it's just there's so many great things. There's like
it's visually such a treat.
Yeah.
Everything, I mean, because of course it takes place like in the future, everything is like an overly elaborate set.
Yeah.
There is no
it's
attempt to like reuse anything modern.
Yeah, well, he put a lot of attention toward the idea of design and the aesthetic of it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Like everything the costume design was done by like Jean-Paul Gaultier, so it's like all high fashion costume design, but it applies to the entire world. So like they go to like McDonald's and like the servers and
they have like these
the workers
crazy
at McDonald's
hats
have
and
these
crazy
ridiculous uniforms that are like high fashion, but they're like they're McDonald's uniforms. It makes no sense.
Yeah, like even all
like
utilitarian
the cops
have these weird like
and everything is like that in the entire movie. Because it's so like designed to be this like
it is like
weird
it is
like high fashion.
It is like the costumes are high fashion. The film style of it is like crazy high end like music video.
Yeah.
Like it is very
Yeah, and it's got all this kind of like taking a bit of the idea of like Blade Runner type of thing to like the extremes of just like having these like colossally high buildings. All the traffic is in
flying.
the air.
Yeah.
You know, and
there are no roads.
You never really see the ground. Like it's so far down that it's like the Undercity.
Yeah. Well, even when
know?
they drop into the Undercity,
Yeah.
it's just like pipes and fog.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
still don't see like the ground.
Yeah,
you know?
and so like it's all the traffic is in
Yeah.
the air. You know, you have these tiny little apartments that everything is like folds out of the wall because like there's like literally no
room.
It's just these, you know, tiny little
Well,
cubes.
at some point in the movie, they say the population of Earth, and it's like some nonsense number.
It's not nonsense because if you think about but populate it's like 200 billion, I think.
200 billion,
right? Because when you think about population growth,
But in terms of like what our population is now, you think like, wait, 200 billion people? What?
Yeah, so they just really start stacking everybody. So yeah, all the traffic is like multi-level.
Everything's vertical.
all the way up
super
through the sky.
Vertical, yeah.
And
I love the like even like right at the beginning I mean, everybody's seen this movie. It's Bruce Willis. The boat that he buys his sushi from, like it's done like it's an old style like junk. It's still floating in the
but it's got the anti-gravity. And he's a cab driver, and you know he drives his cab through this. Well, he's like ex-military, but he's become a cab driver, and it's like it's like totally like a flying car. All cars are just like flying cars, I mean it's crazy. Like it's
everything is at 9.
Yeah,
11. I mean,
everything's at 9. Dial it down a bit. That's weird. It's like they really didn't push it as much as they could have.
Normally goes to 5.
Yeah,
so.
They really didn't push it as much as they could have. They could have made it a little more extreme. But this is definitely.
I've been waiting 97 episodes to put this on the list.
I'd seen a couple. There had been a couple of movies earlier, like that I'd seen, like Cuffs we talked about, and Chaplin, which are both 92, oddly enough. But this is really the movie that I really like was fully conscious of who Milla Jovovich was. Yeah, and I mean, you knew me at the time. You know how like semi-obsessed I was with her at the time. She was definitely my favorite actress for quite a while. I was really, really into, you know,
I do
probably first big celebrity crush, like post kind of teen. You know,
I think it's fair to say, like,
it was not a stretch for me to believe that she's playing the perfect human. Let's put it that way.
This movie made Milla like, everybody knows who Milla is now. Like, you know, and I mean,
but she didn't really become a big star. It's weird. She made a lot of like indie movies after this. Yeah. You know, and then they started doing the Resident Evil stuff, which kind of became like kind of her claim to fame. But because they were never like popular with critics and mainstream and stuff like that, it sort of kept her in this kind of a bit of a ghetto of like genre film. So she never really became like big, but at the time I was because I mean The Messenger is the Joan of Arc movie
also very good.
Luc Besson made after this and also starred her, and she had a great performance in that. So at that time, you know, that was when I was big into, you know, and they were married for a short while too.
That's right. But I mean, just Ian Holm.
Yeah, Ian Holm. I mean, most people would just be like, "What, Ian Holm?" Like that's such an odd.
He is the out of his element character that is just kind of getting dragged along.
But he embraces it, man. Like he doesn't feel out of place in the sense of like it doesn't feel like the actor's out of place. Like it doesn't feel like he's doing it and kind of doesn't really want to be there, you know? He didn't pull like an Alec Guinness in Star Wars where it was like Alec Guinness couldn't give the slightest crap about Star Wars. Yeah. He didn't really understand it. He didn't care. It was just a job. Yeah. Right? He did a good job because he's Alec Guinness. He's a great actor and he was professional, but he didn't care at all. But you don't get that feeling with Ian Holm. Like it feels like he embraces the feel of this movie and he feels right at home in it. But yeah, it's not necessarily the first type of thing you'd expect him to do.
Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman, again, wonderfully like
Jean-Baptiste Emilio Zorg.
another wonderfully eccentric
Oh
performance.
yeah, again, like with
Yet
the
another-
fashion stuff, that headpiece, he's got that weird clear thing he just wears on his
yet
head.
another accent to chalk
Yeah.
up for him, and
Yeah.
I mean, Oldman. What could be said?
Yeah,
what can be said
he's
about Gary Oldman? I mean,
real good in this.
Like you pick any 5 Gary Oldman films or like performances, and they're all like totally different. They all have different accents, different.
Yeah.
You know, they're a different type of character. He's one of those chameleons, you know, in the acting world. Yeah, I mean, just a lot of really crazy concepts, and just, you know, it never really stops. You know, the pace is great.
Nice thing, again, this has a lot to do with being that a lot of the sets and stuff were, and, you know, costumes and all that were practical. Holds up real nice visually.
Yeah.
Like, none of the
for the
CG,
most part.
none of the CG outside of a few, panoramic things.
Some of it looks a bit dated, only in the sense of that anything would from that time.
20 years,
You know, because you know that they can do such more sophisticated stuff, but it doesn't look dated in the sense of looking bad.
No.
At least not how I remember it.
No.
Maybe some of like the ships and spaceships and stuff. That's a tricky thing.
That is where it's any of the kind of the
But
big
even then,
shots.
like those those may have even been models. I don't remember. It's been a while since I've seen it. But
nothing looks like nothing like does that like pop out like but there is definitely like that would look better now.
Yeah,
like just that kind of feel to
for
it.
sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Wasn't, you know, despite the kind of the epicness of the film too, wasn't like the most expensive film either. There was,
Well, it's very European.
Yeah.
So I think they saved
like it was like 90 million or something.
They
like
made
that.
it a part outside of that kind of Hollywood machine. So I think they made it for European money. So it was like, you know, it kept it in that sort of more controlled thing.
It did well in the theater, and fairly well.
Never made like a sequel or anything.
There was talk,
Yeah,
and it
I
just
remember
never
there
happened.
really being even sort of serious talk. Like I think it was just one.
Oh
of
no,
those,
it was always like, is this the rumored?
Yeah.
And then just now.
But you'd think like nowadays it would be something.
A lot of like,
if it
would
was
Bruce
successful,
Willis be willing to do it? Oh, there would absolutely be a
They
second.
would be, at least they would say right away like oh, we intend to do this or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, heck, I'm
Further
surprised,
Adventures of
I'm
Corbin
surprised
Dallas.
there hasn't been like some sort of like oh, we're gonna make a reboot of which would be terrible. I'm not suggesting that should happen. I'm just saying that's such a typical thing now, right? That
all of those actors are
It
all
almost surprises
still
me.
alive. You could do the reboot and change none of the casting. The only actor that probably even looks vaguely different would be Chris Tucker. Because back then, that was when
Bruce
it was
Willis
like...
looks completely different.
Well, he looks older.
Yeah,
but-
and he's
but-
now
but-
the
but, like-
bald Bruce Willis.
Oh, I guess he's bald. Oh, yeah, that's right, because he
And
does... He sort of has
really,
some hair in
He's
this,
really
yeah.
changed his look
Yeah.
quite a lot, and
but
his,
I mean, like,
and his whole kind of
This
feel.
is back in
he acts
the
very
like...
different.
Oh, that's
now,
true. Well, yeah. This is back in the, like, super skinny Chris Tucker years.
Yeah.
Versus now, Chris Tucker's, like,
Well,
you know... Well, I mean, he also, like, he went off acting for a while and stuff, too.
whatever.
Whatever.
But yeah,
Ian Holmes is the only one. He's like frozen. Still old.
he's really old now.
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
in his 80s now. So
It's that ring keeps.
I'm not knocking it. Everyone ages. It is what it is. It's just he's very elderly now.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is.
Yeah. No, I really love Fifth Element. I've probably seen this movie 20 plus times.
Everybody does. Well, not everybody, but
No.
most people have our peer
I-
group.
It's one of those like really good sci-fi futuristic movies that aren't tied to a previous like property like Star Trek or Star Wars.
Yeah.
Are really hard to come by.
Yeah.
And when one comes along and it is really good,
Yeah.
that is
it's-
always
well. That
so-
especially is the rare thing.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. Like
They make them, but usually they're just kind of like, it feels like a cheap.
even the worst 90s Star Trek, even the worst 90s of the Star Trek films, like the next gen films, is still at the very least production quality miles ahead of any other sci-fi or anything else. Like that is just like we talk a lot about like us growing up and up probably until maybe about 10 years ago, like, Westerns, hard to come by.
Yeah.
Usually when they came out, they were pretty good.
Yeah.
They just weren't coming out.
They were very rare.
And
yeah.
sci-fi films,
They're a little more common.
a little more common,
but you don't get the quality.
You didn't. Well, yeah, you're like, that's nice, but I don't want to see that.
Yeah,
you know,
it's true.
and so it was like two genres with
sci-fi
massive potential that just
science fiction is a common outlet for like B movies.
yeah,
Or it's a common genre for B movies.
and
so.
and I understand when
Yeah.
you do a sci-fi movie, immediately your budget is going to be nonsense. It's going to be going to have to be high because
If you want it to look good.
exactly you're going to
And
have
if you
to.
don't, you're not making it to look good, then it's going to be a B movie.
Exactly, you
Yeah.
know, and then so there is strings attached to
Aziz
that.
Light.
Yeah, Aziz Light, yes.
Luke Perry, man.
Luke Perry, yeah.
Let's not forget.
Right at the beginning of
Mr.
that.
Luke Perry
Yeah.
makes
Aziz Light, 25.
a small
Yeah,
appearance
yeah,
in this film.
Yeah.
Small but highly memorable.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Super Green. But yeah, no, I
But yeah, we get practical aliens, like
Yeah.
actual like suits and
Yeah,
prosthetics
yeah,
and
the-
stuff, and
Ognugs? No, I forget what they were. Ocknots?
yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway.
No, I thought Aknot, I think was the character. Was
Oh,
the-
Acknot was the name of the guy. Yeah,
but
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
remember
yeah,
what the
yeah.
actual race was called.
But yeah, there was Mangalores. That's what they were. They could
Mangalores,
change their face. They could.
Yeah.
It was because Acknot was it was that he was a singer.
No, you're thinking of Tricky.
Tricky.
Tricky played like Zori's like henchman.
Oh, that's right. Zora's henchman. Yeah, right.
He wasn't.
Right.
Wasn't a Mangalar.
Yeah, that's
but,
right. Yeah.
But yeah, I know what you're thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the ancient aliens were the Mondo Shawan or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
And all you ever saw was their containment, like
the
armor
suits that they.
things
Yeah.
that
Which
would-
technically. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm doing the waddle thing, but
And then
can't see it.
one of the things, also, again with the stylistic elements in this movie, even it like seeped into the plot, like the great, like the ancient evil that's coming
Oh,
from
yeah,
the
yeah.
stars, like when it needs to, like, because the plans have to be put into place. It just like calls Zorg on the phone.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Yeah.
well, I
It's
guess
like
that's
this,
a
like
method of
it's like this,
communication.
like space entity monster
yeah,
planet thing.
yeah.
And it just calls Zord on the phone.
On the phone, yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. And then whenever it talks to you, like the weird black goo appears on it, and you're just like,
And it's like
all right,
like, uncomfortable.
yeah, it's like uncomfortable, like to hear it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay.
It's weird. Yeah. No, I know it's crazy, but
Yeah.
like I say, it's teenage fantasy.
Yeah, exactly.
Sci-fi.
Like, yeah, but in the context of the movie, it's no outrageous in any of the other things. It's,
That's true.
yeah, the gun with like the 10 fire modes.
Yeah. His neighbor with the hat.
With
Like, nice hat.
Nice hat. Yeah.
You like it?
I like it. I think you got the safety on.
Yeah.
there.
Press this button.
Press this button.
Yeah.
I am. Are you human? No,
Yeah,
I am a
yeah.
meat
Yeah.
popsicle.
Yeah. Are you classified
Like
as
it's human.
human?
Yeah.
Negative. I'm a meat popsicle.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean you could go on and on.
Oh yeah. It is. It's just like a string of just like entertaining,
one of my
interesting.
favorites that no one ever quotes is the anyone else want to negotiate?
Anyway, yeah, after he shoots the guy, like guy walks in and blam,
Yeah.
and they're all like, because like they're like without their leader, they immediately collapse
well, yeah, 'cause
morally.
it's like,
yeah.
oh, they have like hostages and stuff. Like, oh, what are we gonna do? They're controlling the thing, blah,
Yeah,
blah,
yeah.
and he just walks in, shoots the leader in between the eyes.
Yeah.
Anyone else want to negotiate?
Yeah.
And it all just falls apart.
Fart, yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. And also another movie, like we're like 3 for, well, okay, it wasn't on the list, but we talked about it.
Yeah.
Soundtrack. Amazing soundtrack, like,
It's interesting.
I mean, it's mostly
I'm not a
score.
big, I'm not a big fan of it.
and I'm not usually a score guy.
Yeah, I am. I'm not.
You're
a big,
more of a score
I'm not
guy.
a big fan of it. I'm not a huge fan of Eric Serra's style. Like it's good for what it is, but it's just not really my sort of thing. He's into a little bit more of that kind of like. It's almost kind of new agey, like it's,
Yeah, it is a little
It's very
bit. It is a
kind of
little bit.
'90s synthy, which
Yes.
I'm not so much of a fan. I'm more of a fan of like '80s
80s synth.
synthy,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
and so it's a bit. not really my style, but it's good for what it is, and it fits this movie. So,
it, yeah. Yeah, like
Yeah.
even and then there's like the musical scene with the
the
alien.
diva.
Yeah, the diva.
the sort of opera, kind of future
A
opera.
future opera, and you're just like, yeah,
It's different.
Yeah,
It's definitely different.
Future opera,
You know?
yeah, you know.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's like opera opera.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah,
but
I'm
yeah.
alright with that.
But yeah, so your number 2, my number 1, Fifth Element.
Yeah.
All right,
I thought about making it my 1, but I was just like,
you got something good.
well,
Oh.
I thought about making it my 1, but I was like, I feel like that's too easy, and I feel like that's being too forgiving of its kind of rough edges.
Oh, okay.
I guess I don't know how else to put it, but it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I wouldn't give it up. I wouldn't want to give it up, but I just felt like if I'm really being like really strict and like if I'm gonna be real tough here,
Yeah.
I
This
felt like I
this
had to-
was my number 1 for this year. Like from when we decided to do the 90s. Like it was just like, all right, we're going to do the 90s. Like, well, okay, 97 will be Fifth Element.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, being that it's probably one of, if not my most favorite movie.
All right.
Yeah. So you're number 1.
Yes,
Wow.
my number 1 is a film that I saw in the theater at the time. I really enjoyed it. Totally not the type of movie I would normally would be into.
Okay.
But I was just blown away by. Well, I shouldn't say it's not the type of movie I'm into. In a general sense, I guess, genre-wise, it's not so much my type of movie. But there are specific qualifiers to that make it more of an interest thing. But saw it in the theater at the time. I think I may have seen it with you, but I'm not.
I'll let you know when you tell me what it is.
I think I might have.
Yeah.
But it's LA Confidential.
Yes, we did see that. In the theater
Which
together.
to me is like
I
like the Titanic was the big like Oscar winner and the
Yeah.
big like everyone talking about like critically
Yeah.
like it was all like everything was Titanic that year, 97.
that was
LA Confidential to
That
me
was easy to leave off my list because I haven't seen it.
Yeah, LA Confidential to me is like the one that really should have had that. Like the way that people
It's the better movie.
Yeah, like the way that people say like certain years where they're like, oh well, where they're shocked that like such and such won over. I mean, I guess I'm not shocked because often the Oscars there is a certain popularity contest aspect to the Oscars sometimes, and it was just one of those things. Titanic was a phenomenon that year. There was really no way around it.
Yeah,
but I'll say something very telling to me about Titanic is no writing Oscars,
yeah,
and no acting Oscars.
yeah.
Which to me, right there,
That tells you something, right?
it does tell you something. And to me, I mean, I've talked about a lot of Cameron films. I love James Cameron. He's genius. But Titanic is really kind of where he sort of started to go in a different direction. He was kind of leaving me behind a little bit. Because, I mean, I think Titanic is an amazing achievement. Technically, obviously, it's flawless. It's the usual Cameron excellence on its technical execution. But I feel like what made Cameron's films really great is that in addition to his technical excellence, he brought a level of quality in writing and the acting. Obviously, he's not personally responsible for the acting, but he hires the actors and he directs them and he gives them the material to work with as far as the writing goes. So he is obviously involved in the acting. But when you look at his earlier stuff, right? You look at something like Aliens, where Sigourney Weaver was nominated for Best Actress.
Yeah.
For a sci-fi action horror film, right, which never happens, because he actually made and all of his stuff was like that. Terminator 2, Terminator 2 wasn't just an action movie. Like when you look at the caliber of the performances in it, even we talked about it on our 91 list when we talked about Terminator 2, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, that's like one of his best performances, like on a level of just like the technicalities of being an actor.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a great performance. He's not just there to like run around and shoot things and hit things, which you could do.
Oh, yeah.
There are many action films where basically
That's all you need.
It's Arnold
from
is
the-
just
yeah.
being Arnold, but the fact that they actually demanded a little more and had him do some real acting, and Linda Hamilton is great in T2, et cetera, right? You look at The Abyss and Ed Harris and all of them, and there's some really good acting in that. So the thing that was always kind of part of the hallmark of Cameron and why I was such a big fan of him is that he never just kind of settled for like, oh, we're just making an action film, so it doesn't really matter. We don't need to have really good writing or really good acting or anything like that. We just need to do some good stunts. Sort of Michael Bay approach.
Right.
Like again, I'm more of a defender of Michael Bay than most people would be, because I feel like he's making films knowing exactly what he's making. He's just making a empty popcorn action film, which is fine sometimes.
He knows what he's doing.
If it's well done, it's fine sometimes. But what made Cameron so great is that he never went for that, and he always tried to bring it to that other level where you had great writing, you had great acting, as well as all the great technical stuff. And I feel like for Titanic, which ironically, considering it was the most successful with a general audience, and it had all this like drama and romance aspects to it and stuff like that, but clearly what was lacking in that is that it was not as well written and it wasn't as well acted. So you look at LA Confidential, and even though it wasn't winning Best Picture, Best Director, all that, it actually did. It won Best Adapted Screenplay, so it did one for the writing. And Kim Basinger won Best Supporting Actress.
Best
Supporting Actress. Supporting actress, but it's a smaller part. So the fact that it actually did win writing and acting awards kind of showed where the deficiencies in Titanic were. So to me, like, I feel like if you're just looking at it in terms of critical success and stuff like that, to me, I think LA Confidential should have been the best picture for that year. But
I was not. I assume it was nominated.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly was. I mean, how could it not be? But anyways, as far as what I was saying is it not really being my type of movie normally, it's basically like a drama, police, it's about like...
Period piece, 1950s.
Yeah, corruption, police corruption and stuff.
Yeah. Hell of a cast. That should... Also, absolutely, this was on my this was also on my holy crap, learn to speak, Chris. This was on my also rans, my honorable mentions as well. I do like LA Confidential.
Russell Crowe, this is probably like one of the first things I saw him in, certainly that I was conscious of who he really was.
I'd probably be the same.
And I was really impressed at the time. I have a very strong, distinct memory of seeing this in the theater, seeing Russell Crowe in this and being like, oh wow, he's really interesting. He's going to be one to watch. And then he ended up doing like all this stuff that I totally didn't care about, and I ended up not really being a fan of him at all because he ended up doing all that like Oscar baity stuff.
Russell Crowe has
A Beautiful Mind and Cinderella Man and all that stuff. I can't stand that crap.
Up until Beautiful Mind's a little. I won't say Cinderella Man and Beautiful Mind. Those are quite different movies.
But it's that. Like, if you watch, like, the trailers and stuff, you can see, what they're going for. It's that shameless kind of, like, we constructed this movie in certain specific ways to, like, it's... I can't stand that sort of thing.
I think Beautiful Mind is quite a fascinating film. I haven't... Cinderella Man.
Yeah, it's how...
But yeah, he went through probably at least a good... well over a decade. It's probably only recently that he has really... Like, it was... I would watch a movie, and if Russell Crowe was in it, so be it.
Yeah.
But I wasn't seeking out Russell Crowe films. Yeah. In the same way where, like, I would seek out a Kevin Spacey film, or,
exactly. Yeah, and Kevin Spacey, I mean, he's only has, like, a supporting role in this.
I mean, not to
it's a smaller role.
Jump on the Russell Crowe's, like, actual, like, acting ability. Like, he's a fine actor, but he definitely
I just don't like his...
Definitely not...
I just don't like his style. I don't like his... how he comes across. There's a couple of cases where I thought he was good, and that really is about it. Yeah, he's in that bit of that kind of not as bad, but in a little bit of that Sean Penn kind of category for me. I'm really just not a fan at all, but he's done some cool stuff. I really liked him in I thought he was great as Jor-El in the early parts of Man of Steel.
Yes.
that amazed me.
Yeah.
I thought I was
I was
just like,
saying,
man,
like,
I was
more
like, if
recently,
he was
he's
more like
done
that
some
in
really-
more of his movies, I'd be much more into it.
I quite liked him in that comedy he was in last year. I think it was last year. The Nice Guys.
Yeah, I still haven't had a chance to see that.
But LA Confidential, on the other hand, has James Cromwell, who is awesome.
Yeah, Cromwell's
Yeah.
always great. Yeah, and Guy Pearce and
Yeah. Well,
what else we got here? Danny DeVito,
Guy Pearce,
David Strathairn,
Kevin Spacey, and Russell Crowe are like the three, like, opposing characters in this.
Yeah.
And then Kim Basinger character.
Yeah, but I mean,
Kim
if you
Basinger
just look at,
characters,
like,
yeah.
I mean, the top few, we got, like, Kevin Spacey, Russell Crowe, Guy Pearce, Kim Basinger, James Cromwell, Danny DeVito, David
Stratham,
and Ron
also.
Rifkin.
Yeah.
I mean, amazing. Amazing.
I really like David Stratham.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah, so I just felt, I mean, I do, like I say, I like that.
I need to see this again. It's been a while since I've seen it.
So like I say, like I'm not really a big like drama cop kind of movie fan necessarily, but I do like the sort of like noir-y kind of that sort of era. So I like the sort of period piece aspect and stuff, and
well, I especially like I really
ambiance.
like that like 50s style.
that sort of early 50s and stuff.
This is possibly the highest rated film we've ever talked about, Rotten Tomatoes wise, as it's 99% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's pretty impressive.
I don't believe we've ever talked about a film that's. I mean, we definitely had some. I mean, just in this episode, we've had some, high ones.
Yeah.
But
that's pretty impressive.
But yeah, no. This is it's when I came across this when I was looking at films of the 70s. I was 97. I was like, first I was like, oh, that'll probably be on Emmett's list. And second, I need to see this again. I have not seen.
It's been a while for myself as well,
No,
but I mean, but it's one of those ones that I never forgot. The feeling of seeing it in the theater, and it's been 20 years, and like I still have I have sense memory of that first time of sitting in the theater and watching it and feeling things. And that's pretty impressive. That doesn't happen with very many movies. Like, even if you remember seeing it in the theater, that's not the same thing. That's not what I mean. I mean, like, the actual memory of, like, how you felt sitting in there watching it, That's a totally different thing.
A movie of a certain quality and a certain caliber will do that.
Yeah.
Like,
but it's
just,
it's
where
rare.
you're like, oh... This is what an Oscar movie that's not Oscar bait looks like.
Yeah, it's nominated for 9 Academy Awards.
Yeah.
2 for Best Actress in Supporting Role for Kim Basinger, and for Chris Hansen and Brian Helgeland for Best Writing and Adapted Screenplay.
Yeah.
It's also nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Production Design, Best Cinematography, Best Film Editing, Best Original Dramatic Score, and Best Sound Mixing, and lost all of those to Titanic, of course. So, yeah.
I will never know if Titanic is actually.
LA Confidential did. I do remember one seeing though that even before we came to do this, but like when I was just looking at initial little bits of research, I did see that it did get best film for the Critics' Choice Awards. So
yeah,
that's why I'm kind of like, that's okay, but so. Because, I mean, a movie like Fifth Element, I can understand why, like, from a populist sort of standpoint, like, that could be seen as, like, oh, yeah, that's the best movie of the year, because it's, like, it's the most sort of entertaining and kind of fun and kind of, of that type of movie.
In the category of, like, Avengers.
But
like,
I know, realistically, a movie like Fifth Element is not going to be ever considered, like, the top sort of critically acclaimed movie or like, the best picture.
Get nominated for, like, special effects or something.
So, in terms of films that have realistically had a shot at that, I think El Confidential by far was the best. And I think it should have won it, my opinion.
And this stems back a little bit to what we were talking about earlier, about when I was saying about things like a lot of movies come out, a lot of sci-fi movies come out, and a lot of them are great. And
Yeah.
it's an odd genre. It is always a little depressing when you look at like all the films that Hollywood can produce in a year,
Yeah.
and the good ones, the bad ones, the great ones, the crap ones,
Yeah.
and then you see what gets nominated, and
Yeah.
you're like, okay, and there's always like, well, 2/3 of those are obvious choices because
Yeah.
that's the Academy for you.
Yeah.
Why can't we get a sci-fi movie with, like, why is there no sci-fi version of LA Confidential? In terms of like quality of story, plot,
it
and
happens.
Like,
It's just
why
rare.
is
It's
it
just
we-
extremely rare.
And I guess this may be one of those things of, and this is the populist how people think of movies, where sci-fi is considered a genre when it's not. It's a setting, versus. And so, like, the setting of sci-fi is...
Well, it's supposed... Okay, hold on.
Yeah,
though.
no, but I'm
It's
saying... This
used as a setting a
setting.
lot, but it's intended to be a genre.
A genre,
Because
exactly.
science fiction, what it actually means
Yeah.
is it's exploring how changes in technology and
Yeah.
scientific progress
Yeah.
will affect people and society.
Yeah. But people think
Right,
about it
right?
like,
So
oh,
that's-
that movie's
it's a theme.
sci-fi.
So it's supposed to be a genre, but it's often used as a setting.
And I think...
Just let's be clear.
But the popular thought is...
Right.
But that's because the concept of genre and setting are... Those are interchangeable in most people's minds when it comes to movies.
Yeah.
And categories, back in the day when you go to the video store, also there, and I think that's probably where that came from.
Yeah.
Where you can't, like, the plot and the story and the setting, or not the setting, the genre of what LA Confidential is, like, is like, the quality is in that, like, the brilliant writing that was
Yeah.
put into it, and that, and if LA Confidential was, and I'm going to use in air quotes, exactly the same, but set in space.
Right.
It probably wouldn't have been like half the glances.
Yeah.
And it's a shame that the setting / genre of sci-fi, or many settings, are just like an automatic dismissal for,
To a
in terms
certain
of like
level, yeah.
Yeah, and it's one of those, like, there's a I hate to use the word prejudice, but there's a prejudice there against that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And it's too bad. And it
is too bad, but
one of
it's
those
the
things
way it's always
why-
been. It's the way it's always
and
will
I
be.
think that's why we have like good noir cop, genre, like the time setting are much more frequent, and the quality is more often good than bad. Versus sci-fi, where the quality is more often bad than good.
Well, that's probably part of the problem right there.
But the case
science fiction
is because
films would probably get more respect if they stopped making so many crappy ones.
But mine wondering is what is the chicken and the egg?
No, I agree.
We're making
but-
a sci-fi movie, so we can't possibly
Yeah.
get the kind of writing and acting
Yeah.
that we need to
I
make
understand
this.
what you're saying. I agree. I'm
Yeah.
just saying
Yeah.
that's probably
Yeah.
part of the reason
Yeah.
right there is just stop making
And
so many crappy ones.
On the flip side, it does make the really good ones stand out really good,
Yeah.
versus, and to be fair, LA Confidential stands out amongst its peers.
Mm-hmm.
But it stands out as a 9 amongst a bunch of, 6s, 7s, and 8s,
Yeah, yeah.
versus, like, say, like Fifth Element stands out amongst as an 8 amongst a bunch of 2s and 3s,
Yeah.
and you're like, and it's
I
so
agree.
it is much easier,
Yeah.
But I do absolutely agree about LA Confidential.
Yeah.
It is kind of a it is kind of a shame that Titanic came out in '97.
I just kind of walked all over.
And
everything.
I do feel Titanic did get to say the popular opinion swayed maybe how the awards
bit.
went on Titanic.
A little bit. Well, it was such
Again,
a cultural
as
phenomenon.
a person who has not seen Titanic,
Interestingly,
I cannot
something which was not
I may love it.
something which was
I'll
not
never know.
not very likely. Something which was not, which would interestingly enough was not fully repeated with Avatar.
Oh, yeah,
because you know it's
Sci-fi.
It was 12 years before the release of Cameron's next film, and it
Publicly loved.
phenomenally huge cultural phenomenon again. And it did translate into, you know, lots of like nominations, stuff like that. But like it didn't win Best Picture, for instance.
No.
You know?
But then again, like
and Cameron didn't win Best Director.
yeah. But again, I mean,
Very interesting.
Avatar, amazing setting, top-notch special effects, but writing and story, kind of nothing we hadn't seen before.
But see, in my opinion, the writing and stuff like that wasn't that great on Titanic either.
Yeah, well,
but it did win.
Yeah.
It didn't win for writing, but it won like all those other billions of awards, including
Yeah.
Best Picture and all that, right?
Yeah.
Which to me, I think like it's kind of like I get it. Like I'm not saying that you have to have the best writing in order to be Best Picture, because Best Picture is an all-round thing.
Yeah.
So if your writing is an 8, but you have 4 other categories that are 10s, then you're probably Best Picture.
Yeah.
Whereas a film that has writing is 10, but other things are 8, then maybe that's not Best Picture. I get it. Like I'm not saying.
And we talked about this, I think, the last time we did Oscar Talks, where that's always the weird conundrum. At a certain point, when a movie has won like 7 or 8 categories, you're like, well, if this doesn't win Best Picture, then this entire system is a sham.
It should be based. It should be based absolutely just based on that thing. So basically, whatever has. So there should be a lot of divisions. Like it shouldn't be. Like it should be extremely rare
that something wins so many
like the
categories.
most of the awards. I
unfortunately, it's almost always the other way.
Because if that's the case and it's winning almost all of them, if it's winning almost all of them, then that means that it's the best in all those categories. That means that it's one of the best movies ever made.
Yeah.
And it should be.
Yeah.
If it's winning in like 8 categories, 9 categories, 10 categories, it should be like one of the best movies ever made. That's not usually the case.
I mean,
right?
You also get those odd situations
but
where
when they
a
split
movie
it up
will
and it's
win,
like
will win in like a bunch of those categories.
Yeah.
And then something else wins Best Picture.
Yeah.
And you're like,
yeah.
But if it wasn't good enough to win any of those things, it clearly cannot be the Best Picture.
So that's why I think like it should be all, you know, like whatever is the best writing, that should win like the screenplay one.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be Best Picture.
No, exactly.
But that should win that one. The best sort of all-rounder, that should be Best Picture. The one with like the best single performance by that leading actor or that supporting actor or whatever it is, should be the ones winning the acting awards. I mean, I realize I say that. I mean, that sounds like an obvious thing, but it feels like that doesn't happen. It feels like it's like a popularity contest where a certain movie is just considered the favorite and it just wins everything. And you're like, well,
that is something that definitely
like
waxes and wanes.
Up,
like, like in 2015, Mad Max won a crap ton of awards.
Yeah.
But clearly was not going to win Best Picture.
Yeah.
Again, I'm going to say the genre of
it was totally a bias.
It was such a massive
absolutely
strike.
A bias.
Again,
But I don't care because you know what? I don't care because nothing can take away from the fact that it won more individual. I don't care what they're for.
Yeah.
You can say like, oh well, it's mostly technical stuff. It didn't win for like any of the really prestigious awards. I don't care. It still won more Oscars.
The thing to say, the more prestigious awards, that is such a gross, like, basically they're meaning like that is so
it's the ones that people really talk about. The best actor, the best picture, the best
thing.
Right.
So as soon as anybody says that, well, their opinion doesn't matter.
Okay, but fine. That's neither here nor there. But my point was that knowing that type of a movie doesn't usually get a whole lot of love in that in that area, and with the critical acclaim in that area and stuff, I take solace in the fact that nothing can take away from the fact that for that year, Mad Max Fury Road won more Oscars than any other film. I don't care what they're for. The point is, they won more. It was also the most consistently, critically high-rated film of that year. The best reviewed. The most consistently best reviewed.
Yeah.
So you look at movies that, whatever the movie that was considered Best Picture...
who knows?
Still had Yeah, exactly. Who are
Yeah,
going to remember?
yeah, yeah. 2
But-
years. I was going to say 10 years from now, all we're going to remember is Mad Max. But 2 years
But
was
even that movie had more mixed reviews, right?
Oh yeah.
Mad Max had the most consistently positive reviews of any film that year. So there was that, and the fact that it won more Oscars than anything else. To me, that tells me that is the best picture. Like, I'm sorry, but that means it was the best all-rounder.
Oh, right. Birdman.
Okay, but you see
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely,
To me,
absolutely. Yeah.
I'm not saying that it needs to win for other things like
Yeah.
acting and things like that. Like, I'm sure, like, it wasn't really a movie that was really about acting, really.
No.
You know, and or even like screenplay, really, because I mean, for one thing, your main character barely said anything. but as an all rounder,
that doesn't necessarily mean.
but as an all rounder,
Yeah.
right? To me, as an all rounder,
Yeah.
it was the best
Oh,
film of that
absolutely.
year.
Absolutely.
So
We both
therefore,
agreed on
that should have been best picture.
It was both of our top,
you know?
without a doubt.
Anyways, that's the whole kind of going off on a
Yeah,
bit of a
yeah,
tangent
yeah.
there, but it's
On the
addressing something.
injustice that LA Confidential.
But it's
suffered.
addressing something,
Yeah.
that I think is a valid
But,
thing.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
all right.
That being said, go see LA Confidential if you
do you want
haven't
to
seen
run through the?
it. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So my number 5 is Gattaca. My number 4 is Grosse Pointe Blank. My number 3 is The Game. My number 2 is Event Horizon. My number 1 is Fifth Element.
All right. My 5 was Face Off. My 4 was Grosse Pointe Blank. My 3 was Lost Highway. My 2 was Fifth Element, and my 1 was LA Confidential.
And yeah, so in the realm of also rounds,
Yep.
like I had
I'll-
Face Off and LA Confidential.
You can say which ones you have. I'll chime in, and then I'll fill in any that you don't have that I have.
Oh yeah. I like Men in Black a lot.
Okay.
That's real good.
Yeah. I enjoy it as like an entertaining, like as a piece of just kind of like entertainment.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't feel like it's anything.
Oh,
like,
again, not on my
genius.
list,
Yeah.
but it. I mean, they made some sequels and stuff, but I feel it's a very like. What's that other movie that's like Men in Black?
Yeah. Well, it's a lot of stuff since then that's copied.
but that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, when it came out. Yeah. I like Con Air.
Yep. I have Con Air on my also runs. Con Air actually just.
I may also.
Con Air.
I may like Con Air a tiny bit more than Face Off.
Okay, well, I'll say because those were the two.
Oh, those
that
were your
were
fighting
most in
for
contention for that.
Yeah.
And I decided to go with Face Off because of the uniqueness.
Yeah.
Of what they did with the actors and the roles.
Con Air was a little more by the
switching off
book.
roles.
Yeah.
Con Air is very by the book, but it's so brilliantly made. Like it's one Con Air, like for just straight action movies of that type. That where there's nothing real kind of hinky going on. There's nothing tricky about it. There's nothing super original about it. But it's just a straight up great action film. Con Air is one of the best. Like it is so well made. It has great actors. With I mean Nicolas Cage even did great. One of his best roles, but also
Again, a character play where he plays it a little more straight.
Buscemi, Malkovich. There's some great people in that, right?
Yeah.
So it's just a very good, very strong action movie.
Buscemi. just they play that so well the whole movie that he's
really,
this crazy insane guy.
It's a really good film.
Another airplane movie, Air Force One.
Yep. Also a very solid action film from that time. Yep.
I think
very
it
well
actually came
regarded.
out-
Both of those are very well regarded by. For once, critics actually did like very well regard both those movies because they were both very well made action films and they were well appreciated.
I think a lesser known film that I really liked. It surprised me a lot. I kind of didn't expect anything from it because I went in not knowing much about it. But was Wag the Dog.
Oh yeah, Wag the Dog. I forgot about Wag the Dog.
Yeah,
Wag the Dog's good.
and again,
I didn't
like
see
that's
it.
I think it's that kind of like
I didn't see it on any lists, so I forgot about it. But that's a good film.
It's
political.
It's just good some clever political satire and with
and sort of social satire.
social
to
satire.
a degree. Media.
Yeah,
It's kind of politics, media, satire.
I feel you could watch Wag the Dog like this year and be very
I say do it.
Do it.
I say it's a good
and
idea.
You will go.
Anyone who's not familiar with it.
This movie is maybe 20 years ahead of its time in some ways. Yeah,
eerie.
Like because this is 97. This
when
was,
it comes
I
to
guess,
media manipulation.
which
is something that's
like in Wag the Dog is like somewhat funny satire. Where like you could make Wag the Dog now, and it would be super sinister and depressing.
Yeah.
The 2017 version of Wag the Dog would just be sinister and depressing.
No, that's a really good one. I didn't see that listed on the thing, so I forgot about it.
And it's like the title means nothing. Like I think is why I think like people are like, well, what's that movie about? Who's in that movie? Like, what is it? Wag the Dog.
For Wag the Dog,
because it's a play on words that when I saw it, until they actually brought it up in the movie, I didn't know either. And the last one on my list was The Man Who Knew Too Little.
Yep.
That came up when we talked about Bill Murray actually a couple episodes ago.
It's a great comedy.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it's not going to really make any like lists really because it's
it's
just a comedy. There's nothing really special about it, but it's just funny and entertaining.
Bill Murray does the mistaken secret identity, mistaken for 007 kind of role where
So, all right,
he's too stupid to fail in it.
So for mine, I have. I wanted to bring up Titanic because it is a very impressive achievement. I already said everything I wanted to about it, but yeah, it is a very impressive achievement. It's kind of where, it took a turn as far as my fandom of James Cameron goes, because it went off in a different direction from what sort of I'm really into, but it is very impressive. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Like, it's a very impressive achievement. Boogie Nights. I really like Boogie Nights. That was another contender for possible number 5. Especially,
I like Boogie Nights.
I don't really like.
I was never as drawn to it as
I
other people.
I don't really like any of other Paul Thomas Anderson films. I've just never really been into his thing. But just something about Boogie Nights. The timing was right. The people involved were right. I don't know what it is exactly. It just kind of.
No, it's a good movie. It's good.
Yeah, it's good.
There's definitely a movie that I appreciate.
It's also very kind of. It has some really funny stuff, but it's also kind of depressing.
Yeah, it is.
It has some really just like, oh
god,
this is horrible.
It is a movie I definitely appreciated more. I think the second time I saw it than the first time.
Yeah.
Where I think the first
time
a
really good DVD release. It has a ton of extras and a ton of nice. Bonus stuff and a really nice package. No pun intended.
Hilariously appropriate.
But that was rare back then. That was rare back then. So, it's always cool to see that. The game you had on your list, I had it on here just because obviously we've already talked about it. Life is Beautiful was really good.
Yes.
That was best foreign film at the Oscars, and
that was one that, like, at the time I was like, I know that's going to be good, but I don't want to be sad, so I'm not going to watch that movie. And then I watched it later.
I mean, it is sad, but it's also very funny and very heartwarming, and
as the title suggests, it is a beautiful movie.
Yeah,
it's really good. It's real nice.
Con Air we talked about. Copland. Copland was the one that was gonna be my 5, and then I decided to drop it because of the similarity to LA Confidential being about police corruption.
I know I've seen it,
but Copland is a contemporary film as opposed to a period.
Yeah.
But it's also about. It's basically about. It's the
Who's
film.
in it?
It's the movie. It's Sylvester Stallone.
Right, that's the Sylvester Stallone one.
Harvey Keitel.
Yes. Okay, I remember now. Yes, yeah.
It's basically it's the movie that made everyone remember that Sylvester Stallone actually can act.
Yeah.
He gained like a whole bunch of weight for it, and he plays kind of this like overweight, middle-aged, kind of broken down like sheriff in a small like New Jersey town that's like across the water from New York, and basically it's like this little kind of suburban town. So all these like high level like New York cops have their homes there,
right?
Like they're like NYPD cops have like their homes there with like their families and stuff, and they are all like super corrupt. and there's a lot of like undercurrent of like racist, racism and stuff like that. And basically, Stallone's character is just like the sheriff of the town, so it's like everyone just kind of is just like basically treats him like nothing. And he knows, or he finds out about this corruption stuff that's going on, but initially he doesn't feel like he can really do anything because like everything is stacked against him, right? It's like the corrupt guys have all the power and stuff, and he's just
a sheriff.
He's just small town sheriff who he can't do anything, and so it's all about him sort of coming to grips with that and sort of like I said, it was very close to being my 5 because it is a very good film, and I'm a really big fan of Stallone, and I really like it when he actually shows what he can do and when people actually respect what he can do. But yeah, I just decided, I was like, well, obviously LA Confidential not going anywhere, and I didn't want to. I didn't want to do another police corruption.
It's a different level of
one.
Top 5 police corruption movies.
Good Will Hunting. It's good. Good film. Really good performance from Robin Williams. Obviously, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck won the Oscar.
I feel like that was on my also rans, and it somehow got deleted
for original screenplay. It's good. It's not really my type of thing, but I can recognize
that was definitely a movie. At the time, everybody was like, "Oh, this movie's brilliant," but I didn't see it till much later.
Chasing Amy, the next Kevin Smith film, next Fierce Universe film. A little more of a still comedy, but a little more dramatic than previous stuff, especially like Mallrats.
And I think that was the thing. Like the rift from that to Mallrats was a lot of people.
It was also a bit of a return to more kind of indie style filmmaking because he started out with that kind of like seat of your pants 27 grand or whatever that they did for Clerks, and then the 6 million full on
comedy movie budget,
like studio film type thing for Mallrats, and then I think Chasing Amy was like 250,000 or something like that. So it's very professionally made, but it's a little more indie.
Doesn't show though.
But I think that what I'm trying to say is I feel like that's where he exists. He exists best in that space, and I think that it was a good idea after what happened with Mallrats to kind of retreat back a bit.
The thing is you watch Mallrats and you watch Chasing Amy, and somebody says Mallrats is 6 million, Chasing Amy is 250,000. You're like, where did they spend that 6 million in Mallrats?
Oh, it's obvious because everything is just more like.
But if they spent that 6 million Mallrats, how did they do Chasing Amy for 250,000? It doesn't feel like those are like one's a AAA film and one's like an indie film. Like it's.
Air Force One you mentioned. Man Who Knew Too Little you mentioned. Another comedy from that time that is worth mention is In and Out. Which is from 97, because it's another Frank Oz directed, and he pretty much always does really good work, with Kevin Kline, who pretty much always does really good work, Joan Cusack again.
God damn, it's possible
and,
to Google.
Yeah, that's another one I saw in the theater at the time. Quite enjoyed it. Yeah, it's the
I'm drawing a complete...
Kevin Kline's the teacher, and a former student of his, wins like an Oscar or something like that, and he basically like inadvertently outs him to like the world as being gay, and he didn't even know himself that he was gay at that point, and it sets off this whole crisis of self, of like where he has to come to terms with the fact that he is gay.
I probably haven't seen this movie since then, which is why I don't remember it.
Because he's about to get married and stuff like that, so that throws all that into chaos, which is Joan Cusack's character was his fiance. And
Tom Selleck.
Yeah, Tom Selleck is the reporter that comes who is gay and is like, totally out and proud of it and everything. And he's the reporter.
Bob Newhart. Wow.
And,
right. Huh. All right. I'm gonna have to watch that again. I'm looking for a funny movie.
It's really good.
Yeah.
And it's Frank Oz directed it, so it's in that vein of Frank. Pretty much everything Frank Oz
on the rewatch list.
Pretty much everything Frank Oz has done is quite watchable as far as those type of comedies. I think the only real big misstep he made was the Stepford Wives remake, which that was sort of a misstep by all involved. But apart from that, I think generally Frank Oz is, always does a great job as a director for all that stuff. So yeah, that's 97.
Nice. Yeah, okay. Oh, yeah. It's always good when we can finish one of these and I can add a few movies to the movie queue. Like, oh yeah, gotta rewatch LA Confidential, gotta rewatch In and Out. Nice. Chalk up some
I think we saw In and Out in the theater. I'm pretty sure.
Like I said, I know I've seen, when you brought it up. I recall now. Yes, I have seen it, but like I said,
theater,
that might have been the last time I saw it.
I know you like Kevin Kline, so yeah.
But as soon as you said the plot, I was like, oh right, yes, I've seen that now. But yeah, all right. So that's our top 5 of 1997. Stay tuned next week. Top 5 in 1998. Thanks everyone for listening. I'm Chris.
The 7.
Cheers.
Bye bye.